Mr. Nixon has been very careful not to commit himself to any particular new foreign policy. He has made it perfectly clear that there will be drastic changes in the personnel of the State Department, and he has also made it clear that there will be drastic changes in the substance of American foreign policy. Which way they're going to go, nobody can tell.
As you said before, Mr. Nixon has been very vague about the policy that he would take, but can you give us an idea of what alternatives he has? What might he do?
Well, this is so speculative a question. There's a kind of science fiction question, and there's really no rational answer to it. I mean, one thing is certain in my mind. He's going to liquidate the Vietnam War probably more quickly than Mr. Humphrey would have done, because he's not the slave of the policies of the past, and he's not as passionately committed to the policies of the past as Mr. Humphrey is. So I think he's freer to do what everybody recognizes needs to be done to liquidate a losing enterprise than Mr. Humphrey would have been.
We've had several problems. Mainly, machines are not working properly. Some people are having trouble taking the instructions as given. So far, it's been not too bad, but it's been slow.
What problems do you anticipate tonight with running the actual ballots through the computer center?
Actually, the big problem is first getting the people checked out so that they can enter the computer room. The cards must be checked for possible repunch and some that might be mutilated. After that, they come to the computer room. Of course, the computer is fast, but at the same time, it takes a little time to check these things preliminary before we start punching.
Thank you, Tom. Here at the Data Computer Center, just to fill you in on how things will go, the cards will come in from the door over here. They will be counted, sorted, and put through this machine. As they go through the machine, they will also be registered over on another machine over in this area. This will be the official printout of the ballots. From here, they will go downstairs to Tom Ellis's office, the county clerk, to be counted and to be sent out for distribution. This room will be closed off at 6:30 tonight to all except those who have official passes. There will be 3 sheriff's guards on this room so that nothing possible could go wrong. For the opinions of the voters on the punch card districts, Phil Reynolds talked with some of them in one of those precincts. Phil?
Well, now, what do you attribute your strongest thing in helping you bring this victory home?
Well, we've had the greatest. You know, when you run a congressional race, everybody watches the president's race, and it's the center focus. But in our congressional race, we've had the greatest grassroots. You know, just people that go out and knock on doors. And I imagine everyone out there's had someone knock on their door or telephone them or something, because we sure do appreciate reaching everybody.
From what just took place in here, from what took place in here just a few moments ago in here with you and your supporters, there was a moment of prayer. I think you get some help from somewhere else, don't you?
Well, I'll tell you, we've had a tradition. In politics, I've been on both sides, and when you lose, you sure need to pray, because you need to understand and take an outlet. And when we win, we're most appreciative because I do feel, I know that anything that we do is just the good Lord looked after us. And I really think that's why we have a great city. I really feel like that the people of Dallas know that the Lord leads them. And that's why it's the city of the future.
Mr. Rich, what do you think of the situation regarding the punch card machines?
I understand that right now the machine is inoperative, but they expect to get it back in operation shortly. It wouldn't surprise me, however, if the final count were not available before sometime tomorrow. These new things are sometimes troublesome, and we rather expected, some of us rather expected that they might be in this heavily attended election. I felt, and others did, that it would have been better to do it if they had to try a new machine, to do it at some other time, maybe in a special election. Some of the election judges are down there, having already worked about 16 hours today, having to stand and wait their turn at the computer, and once they get there, finding that many of their ballots don't go through it and they have to count them by hand. I'm sure that eventually they will solve it, but it's most unfortunate that these people who have spent this kind of time and are so tired have to spend additional hours in the counting room.
From the way the punch card machines were distributed around the county and the problems that have come up since that time, does it indicate to you that there could be some problem in getting an accurate count of the votes?
There'll be a problem in getting an accurate count. I think they'll ultimately come up with one, but it won't be tonight. It will take entirely too long to count all these various conditions of mutilated ballots.
John Lawrence, it looks right now as though you're well in the lead toward victory in place 4 in Dallas County. What do you attribute your victory to?
I think communication with the people of Dallas to let them know that the ideas that I represent were more similar to their ideas, the majority of the people in Dallas County, than those of my opponent.
Are you anticipating victory right now?
Yes, I'm very confident. Of course, we've only got a third of the vote in, but I'm still very confident.
Of course, you're well in the lead right now. What do you anticipate working with as far as you're going to be in the minority in the legislature if you're elected? And do you anticipate any trouble that way?
No, I don't think any representatives, be they all Republican or all Democratic or a mixture of both, will have any trouble working for the good of Dallas, because most people are concerned about Dallas, and I think that's where they'll vote first, for Dallas.
Do you anticipate a move toward legislation toward urban areas instead of more rural areas as we have seen in the past?
I would hope so, because that's at the present time where the balance of the people live in the state of Texas. They no longer live in the rural areas, they live in the urban areas, and I would hope we would have a trend toward that.
Without a doubt, one of the closest local races will be for the state Senate seat between Republican Rob Stewart and Democrat Mike McCool. And as voters cast their ballots today, one of the most controversial of issues was a mailing which allegedly came from Mr. Stewart, but which Mr. Stewart says was tampered with by Mr. McCool. Rob Stewart is here with us. Rob, what was the situation with this mailing?
Phil, I had some Democratic friends who suggested that I mail a letter to their conservative Democratic friends. We prepared the letter, and they took care of the mailing for me. And there was apparently a slate card prepared by another group of people that I didn't have any knowledge of, and this slate card was put into some of these mailings. Well, these were sent to all Democrats, but we discovered today that many, many Republicans have received these, so the only thing that we can conclude is that my opponent got a hold of one of these, and they have reproduced it, and they're now mailing it to all Republicans.
This puts you in the position of endorsing a partial Democratic slate, then?
Well, that's the idea. The idea was to put me in the light of having endorsed a partial Democratic slate. But as I stated before, I support the Republican ticket, and I voted for the Republican ticket.
What have you done to combat this?
Well, we have tried to explain the situation to as many people as we can talk to them, tell them that I authorized the letter, I knew nothing about the inclusion of the card, and I did not authorize the card to be included. And as near as we can determine, the card was only put in about 150 to 200 of the letters that went out.
Precinct 190 at the Hayes School here in near North Dallas is one of the places that has had a little bit of trouble with the machines. 2 machines went out this morning. But one of the persons who just voted at this precinct, Mrs. Jack Greenman, reports that she had no trouble at all. Mrs. Greenman, how did your vote go?
Well, I thought it went just fine. The explanation was very clear, and after the explanation, I thought it was simple to use the machine.
Did you have any trouble with the card or in punching it?
No.
Mrs. Tyrone, did you have any problems with the machine?
No, I thought it was very adequately explained.
Do you think this will be faster or more convenient than the stand-up booth?
Well, if it's adopted and people get used to it, I think it will.
Would you prefer this over the booth or the paper ballot?
Yes, I don't like the paper ballot particularly.
Frankly, at first I was a little bit annoyed, just as any new thing would cause a person annoyance. You're used to doing something, then it's all of a sudden you don't have the opportunity to. But after it was explained to me very simply, I like it. I think it speeds up the process, and I think it's very clear and understandable.
Most of the people we've talked to here in Precinct 190 have said they would prefer the punch card machines.
This gun is illegal to carry in the state of Texas, but under the new federal registration requirements, it has to be registered. We are presently in a 30-day amnesty period during which persons who have guns of this type can register them without that information being available for use in prosecution against them, because it would be self-incrimination. They are to be registered with offices of the Internal Revenue Service. We asked Billy Gaunt, here in the Dallas office of the Alcohol Tobacco Tax Division, to explain what types of weapons are covered.
A machine gun, or any work weapon converted to a machine gun, capable of firing fully automatic, a sawed-off shotgun with a barrel length of less than 18 inches, or in the case of a rifle, a barrel length of less than 16 inches. Any other weapon capable of being concealed on the person other than a shotgun, other than a pistol. Explosive devices such as grenades, mines, shells, bombs, and so on, designed to be used as a weapon.
A lot of these weapons are used by the criminal element. Would you expect them to register them?
Not at all. However, criminals who fail to register such weapons will be prosecuted. And this will give us an additional weapon to be used against the criminal element.
Is it easier sometimes to convict someone of failing to register than perhaps a specific crime they may have committed?
It would be much easier to convict a criminal for possession of an illegal weapon than it would to catch him in the commission of a crime.
Even guns that have been deactivated, if they fit into the categories we've mentioned, have to be registered. Officials emphasize, however, that ordinary rifles, pistols, shotguns, normally used for sporting purposes, do not have to be registered. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News.